Section 3.1 Metarcheontic. Martin Heidegger famously identified being as the foundational condition that underpins and makes possible any form of existence. Within this philosophical framework, referring to God merely as a being, or simply as real, proves woefully inadequate. God does not exist in the same manner as humans, animals, or trees. When we speak of human being, we often fail to interrogate the deeper nature of being itself. This casual and imprecise use of the term renders it a poor fit for describing God, whose nature transcends the categories of existence as we understand them. God is not merely another entity within the fabric of existence. He is the ground of all existence, the source without which nothing could exist. To elucidate, God is not a participant within existence, but its very origin and sustainer. He is the fundamental reality that makes all other realities possible. Consider existence as a fishbowl. To imagine God as merely the largest fish in the bowl is to fundamentally misunderstand his nature, for a fishbowl, regardless of its size, remains a finite and limited construct. Even the metaphor of God as the largest fish in an infinite ocean fails to grasp his essence. God is neither contained within the fishbowl nor confined to the ocean. He is the foundation that makes both the fishbowl and the ocean conceivable in the first place. This perspective clarifies why it is both limiting and potentially misleading to conceive of God as a sky father gazing down upon creation. Such imagery, while perhaps emotionally resonant, confines God to human categories and reduces the infinite to the finite. God is not real in the conventional sense of the term, which we typically associate with being factual, actual, or having objective existence. These definitions, while initially appearing applicable, ultimately restrict God to the boundaries of human perception and understanding, as though he were merely one more element of reality. Yet God is not real or actual as we perceive those terms. Rather, he is the source of actuality and reality itself. God does not exist in the finite sense that creatures understand existence. Instead, he is the infinite source and foundation of all being. This distinction underscores the difficulty of defining God and highlights why it is necessary to explore the nature of reality itself as a precursor to understanding his nature. To encapsulate this idea, I have coined the term Metarcheontic. This term aims to convey the reality of God as transcending all ordinary frameworks of being and existence, denoting his role as the ultimate origin and principle of all that is. While language inevitably falls short in describing the ineffable, such efforts are crucial to advancing our understanding, however imperfect, of the divine. Meta, a prefix appearing in loanwords from Greek, with the meanings after, along with, beyond, among, and behind. Arch, a combining form meaning prior, original, first, archegonium, archetype, in scientific coinages, a synonym of arche, archesporium. Ontic, possessing the character of real rather than phenomenal existence, noumenal. I acknowledge that coining a new term might seem pretentious, especially given the tendency of some philosophers to endlessly create jargon when simpler language might suffice. However, I believe that certain ideas require a linguistic framework capable of carrying their weight. The term I propose aims to encapsulate the grandeur and complexity appropriate to discussions of divinity, particularly when addressing God as the ultimate reality or the highest ideal. The prefix meta conveys God's existence beyond all human categories of time, space, and causality. It aligns seamlessly with his nature as the transcendent source and sustainer of reality. By combining meta with arche, a term that denotes both foundation and origin, the word signifies that God is not only the beginning but transcends even the concept of beginnings. Finally, The suffix ontic ties the term to existence and being, asserting that God is not merely the source of all being but being itself, surpassing contingent or created existence. Section 3.1.1 The Real and the Phenomenal. At this point, it is necessary to focus briefly on the philosophical implications of the word ontic, often defined as real rather than phenomenal existence. The phrase, real rather than phenomenal, distinguishes between two key ideas in metaphysics and epistemology. The real pertains to that which exists independently of perception, whereas the phenomenal refers to how things appear to us through the filter of our senses and cognitive faculties. This distinction can be clarified through a simple analogy. Imagine three individuals visiting an art museum where a painting and live music are featured. The first person perceives the painting's reds and greens as slightly muted due to mild color blindness. The second, who is fully colorblind, sees only shades of gray. The third sees the colors vividly as the artist likely intended. Meanwhile, classical music plays in the background. One person hears the high notes more prominently because of sensitive hearing, another notices the bass, and the third struggles to discern the details due to slight hearing loss. Each person's experience of the painting and music is unique, shaped by their sensory and cognitive differences. These subjective experiences represent the phenomenal, how the painting and music appear to them. Yet the painting also has a real quality. Its colors, brushstrokes, and texture exist independently of how they are perceived. Likewise, the music has a precise composition and arrangement of notes that exist irrespective of how individuals hear it. Thus, the phenomenal refers to subjective appearances shaped by perception, while the real refers to objective existence independent of observers. When I describe God as realer than real, I mean that his reality surpasses what human beings fully can detect or conceive of as real. God is not merely the foundation of reality but exceeds even our most refined grasp of what it means to exist. Section 3.1.2 Humility and Surrender. Here lies the paradox. The ultimate, unavoidable truth. Despite all our efforts to define or describe God, every attempt inevitably falls short. No matter how precise, elaborate, or expansive our descriptions are, they can never fully encapsulate his essence. Yet, paradoxically, knowing God, at least relationally, is incredibly accessible. This is the tension that confronts humanity, the simultaneous possibility of knowing God while never fully comprehending him. This paradox compels us toward humility and surrender. To truly know God is not to master him through intellectual comprehension, but to enter into a relationship of reverence, trust, and awe. It is to accept that the infinite nature of God defies all human comprehension, while simultaneously recognizing that he invites us into communion with him. This surrender is not a concession of defeat, but an acknowledgement of our finite nature and a testament to God's boundless grandeur. To know him is to accept that we can never become him, yet it is precisely this awareness that draws us into the richness of his infinite reality.